Today's episode is brought to you by Musical Theater Radio's merch store. Looking for that perfect gift for someone or just want to treat yourself to some great musical theater themed merch? Head to musicaltheaterradio.com and click on the All Things Theater button on the homepage and check out all the different designs available. And now, today's interview. Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff. Today, we have a returning guest, which is always great. Now, last time they were on, we talked about the Theater Marketing Lab, a company that does consulting and coaching for theaters and artists. Well, she has been very busy lately and started the Broad Impact Network, which actively supports female identifying creators, advocates for freedom of artistic expression, and provides a creative space for women-led projects. I'm looking forward to hearing all about that, this new company, and everything else that's in her head today to teach us and help us to the world of theater. So let's welcome today's guests, Julie Nemitz, to the show. Julie, hello.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me back.
No problem. So as you know, last time we always start with a 30-second bio because we want to get people to know who you are again if they haven't listened to the first one, which they should have, but they might not have. They might be new. So in 30 seconds, who is Julie?
I'm Julie Nemitz. I am a born and raised Midwesterner who moved to New York City shortly after college and found my way from music to theater and into marketing, and rose through the ranks of media and marketing in New York City and found myself at the top of the food chain, and decided to change my life after being the vice president of a large agency there and move into nonprofit. And I opened my own company right as COVID hit, as luck would have it, right? Or just no, luck, actually, and created my own company. And I've been, ever since then, I have been helping theaters across the country rethink marketing and figure out how to work online and how to create marketing that drives sales. The Theater Marketing Lab has helped over 2,800 theaters since 2020 to make better marketing and make better content online that gets butts in seats.
Nice. And that's what you do is fantastic. It helps so many people and so many theater companies. That's great. And obviously you like helping people. So you started this new company. What was the what was the impetus? What drove you to create it in the first place?
Broad Impact Network was something that came to me during very, very long walks with my dog Rory, shortly after the election in the United States. It was certainly not the outcome I expected and wanted, and I took quite a bit of time to think about what it meant and how I personally wanted to react to it. And not being somebody who easily just sits down and sits by the sidelines and does nothing, I decided I needed to figure out a way to help my friends, my colleagues, and even people that were a part of the lab kind of gather. It's a time in the culture and in the world right now where women are challenged in many different ways, both both socially and also professionally. And the arts is where my heart is. And so I really wanted to figure out a way to also address a challenge that we saw, which was sort of a pullback and a different way we were thinking about social media. You could look at any of the data that came out at the end of the year, and you could see the numbers falling off of engagement and time spent on social media from women. And it had a lot to do with fatigue, it had a lot to do with frustration, and it had a lot to do with how those platforms have changed what we see in our feeds. I mean, I'm old enough to remember social media when it was just our friends and family who showed up and we got to see what was going on with the people in our world. And that changed quickly in the last 4 years, has been a complete and utter change in what we see and what they want, what the platforms want us to see. And that frustration started to feed into my thought how take this incredible community of women who are artists, who are women that support the arts, right? The women who are fundraisers, who are donors, who are the loyal subscribers, who want nothing more than to support the creative arts. How do we all come together with a common goal? And that's where my walks started. And I started to think, well, let me build a world where is a safe place for female identifying people to come and achieve three things. One is community. A big part of Broad Impact Network is gathering. Like whether we gather online or we gather in person, I want us to find specific and meaningful ways to do that. Last night was our very first Broad Impact Live, and we actually did it during the Academy Awards. So we had a live chat and a live video feed going where we were all talking back and forth about the Oscars. And so we expand things beyond theater. We talk about all arts, right? Theater, dance, film. We talk about music, all of it. You know, we don't necessarily just specifically talk about theater because we believe in the creative arts should, people should express themselves everywhere. The second thing we do is we advocate. So that was where a lot of my walk took me. Like, well, how can we advocate? And one of the things I learned when I talked with people was, well, we just don't know what to do. Like, there's so much. Like, what do we, like, I can't possibly keep up or understand, like, what's the right thing to do. So I said, well, I'm going to take it upon myself to find one thing every month that we can do. And so the people that were in my focus group were like, well, yeah, that makes sense. I can do one thing a month. I can do that. So in February, we focused on the Kennedy Center. I educated the folks in the network about what was happening, why it was happening, and then three things we could do to help support um, some of the programming that got canceled. So instead of just saying, "Oh darn, gosh, the Kennedy Center got taken over by the administration," isn't that a bummer, right? We said, "Well, let's help support the shows that got canceled and help lift them up." And it was such a light bulb moment for so many of the people in the network. They're like, "Well, I can do that. I can actually make change with with the musical Finn that was pulled from the schedule, that was funding was pulled. I can start supporting that show and lift it up and keep it alive." That's something that me sitting in St. Louis, Missouri can do. And so that part of the network is really important to me because that's my job. I get to figure out like what are the things that we as women can help support and lift up each month. And it's real and it's achievable. And then the last thing is the creative part. I was part of a group of women in 2020 that created its own work. We created a show that was both music and original monologues called Does Anybody Have a Map? Motherhood in Stories and Song. And it was truly one of the most meaningful and beautiful creative experiences of my life. And then COVID hit and it didn't go anywhere, which so many producers and so many artists can have the same story. Oh, we started this and then it didn't go anywhere because of, of the pandemic. And what I realized was that so many people still have a desire to spend a little bit of time each month creating something. It might just be like doing a writing exercise or sharing a story or showing people some drawings they've done, or they could be like creating some costumes. So we want to have a time each month where we share creatively, bringing in special guests to help with writing exercises, or giving some guided lessons in a specific topic. So that's the creative part of it. And what I was surprised about is that some of the women in the group that aren't artists, that aren't necessarily pursuing this industry,
Yeah.
are like, I want to do this. I actually, I'm just an audience member, but I'm going to go to this creative session and I'm going to work on this because I think this is really going to be good for me emotionally and personally. And so that's exciting.
There's a lot to unpack there.
I
That
know,
must have been
right?
an incredibly long walk if you came up with all of that in the
They were
first place.
many, many walks,
Okay,
and
it's
at
just
one
more.
point,
Okay, I'm being
right,
very
and at one
impressed.
point, one of them was about it was getting onto the 2 hour mark, and I was so far from home. I was like, I'm gonna have to call my husband to have him come pick me up because I'm really far from home, and the dog is not happy.
Yeah, the dog's like, where are we going?
He loves
Like,
walks, believe me, but that was like, okay, Jules.
yeah, but yeah, there is so much to unpack there. You're like just this the social media, like you said, but back in the day when we didn't even have Facebook. Before that, we only had, where it was only our friends and everybody was on there and we knew everybody and we trusted everybody that we were in. And then for good and evil, social media opened up for everyone. And you met so many people, but unfortunately, the ones you don't want to meet also get into it as well. Just talk a little bit more about, that aspect of the social media.
Sure, sure. So that it's a double-edged sword
Mhm.
in my mind. And I'm a Gemini, so I can think of things in two ways very easily. In one way, it's a positive when I put on my business hat. Okay. As a business owner and somebody who helps support organizations and theaters, the change in social media is can be a positive one because the way social media works now is it's deciding who would be interested in your content. So as a business, you put out content and the platforms are saying, oh, Judy over there doesn't follow your organization. Judy over there loves to read content about theater. She follows Broadway, but she doesn't really isn't in your world. We're going to put some of your content into Judy's feed and see how she reacts. See if she reads it. See if she comments. See if she shares it. See if she likes it. Right? So as a business, it can be really great because you're getting into new people and new people can potentially mean new revenue, new ticket sales, and that's the goal of being a business on social media. Now, as a human being who wants to be able to see the things they want to see and
Yeah.
not spend 9, 10 hours on social media, it's frustrating because
Mhm.
very often it's a machine that's doing this, y'all, right? Right? It's a machine, so it's not going to get everything right. And sometimes the stuff in your feed is like, I don't want to see this, or it's 80% ads. Like, who wants
Mhm.
80? Like, there are so many ads,
Yeah.
right? So as a human, as a consumer, um, it's frustrating, right? You're not seeing the things that you really want to see, or you know that the way that the platforms are programmed is to be addictive, right? Um, there is a reason why TikTok is created the way it is because it's an addictive platform. The way you move inside of it, the way you watch, the way you scroll, the way you engage with content is addictive. The way that the For You feed was built is addictive. So knowing that as a human is another reason why it's like, is this the right place for me?
Yeah.
So that's where like broad impact network sort of kind of comes in the middle there, but leans more towards let's find another place where we can go be a community,
Mhm.
and be more realistic about what we're doing there, right? If we're gonna like, how are we gonna make, how are we gonna make gathering together meaningful? What are we gonna do in August when the sequel to Freaky Friday comes out? It's going to be huge for us gals to see what happens in the sequel of Freaky Friday. Like, how are we gonna celebrate that? That's going to be a big, broad impact live event across the country. So those kind of fun things are also a big part of what we do that can't necessarily cut its way through social media in the way that it can when we're a part of a smaller community.
I love the fact that you also mentioned that, people that aren't in the theater or the arts or whatever, audience members or whomever who just have a passion or a love for it, want to be a part of it. And because having people in the arts, we kind of are programmed one way. We think one way, and I love it when people from outside the arts come in because their thinking process is not the same, and they're going to bring something that you go, I didn't think of that because they're not caring about the XYZ of arts. They're coming from accounting or fashion or whatever it is. I love that when you bring that when you mention that.
100%. That I could not be more true. It's so true, and it really wakes you up.
Mhm.
In my opinion, I find sometimes theater can be very insular, and it is kind of like talking around robin with a
Mhm.
very small group of people, and there's sometimes a bit of a jolt when not the people outside of that circle come in to talk,
Mhm.
and I think that's important, right? To be listening to others.
Mhm.
I think some of the theaters that don't thrive are the ones that don't listen to others. And still keep to their own mission. It's a challenging tightrope to walk.
Yeah, I noticed that when I used to I was trying to start a business out of the theater world, and I was
Mhm.
talking to business people, but my brain is a theater brain. It's an arts
Right.
brain, which threw them for a loop, right? Because they're not used to talking to someone like me, but I had a hard time understanding them sometimes. But
Right.
what you learn from each other is so important, like you said.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit more about the resources that the network offers. What do people, get by joining and being part of the membership in a
Well,
community?
one of the things that I'm really excited about is the broad grant program.
Hmm.
It is not enough for me just to kind of be this world where I provide resources and a place for women to gather. We are actively going to be giving grants to artists. That's a big part of what we're doing in Q4, so in the fall. And the important thing about the network is that the women that are part of it will be determining the artists who get the grants. So the grant process is really quite straightforward. The artists will apply for a grant, and then the network members will be a part of a group that vets the grant submissions, and then we follow a rubric and a criteria, and we decide the artists that are awarded. So the members of the network are really rolling up their sleeves and making some decisions about money, which at the end of the day is everything. Like, who are the artists that we are going to financially support heading into 2026?
Mhm.
And that is, I'm extremely passionate about making that one of the cornerstones of the network. And many members are really excited about that because that's something that they feel like they can personally um, own, right? I was part of somebody creating art in a way that didn't necessarily mean I had to be deeply involved or be a sponsor, right? So that's very exciting. So when you're a member, you obviously get access to a lot of things, and that's really what the benefit of being a member is really just the ability to be a part of the Broad Impact Lives, be a part of the what I call mission debriefs, which is the advocating each month,
Mhm.
learning about certain issues and finding those steps, and then also getting the opportunity to be a part of these creative roundtables. And then, working on things like grants. There are lots of contests and rewards and giveaways, and there's lots of different ways you can, when you bring in new members, you get cash rewards. I mean, it's really well organized where,
Nice.
you refer 25 people and you find yourself with a $25 gift card, right? So it's got its own engine that's running
Mhm.
it to help spread the word.
Is there anything else that we haven't touched on yet that you wanted to let us know about it?
No, the other thing too is it's very much the success of the Broad Impact Network will be in how we all communicate together. And the platform is actually built on with a company called Mighty Networks,
Okay.
and it specializes in helping members connect together.
Hmm.
And so it's just a beautiful platform where you can answer some questions about like what your favorite movie is, what your favorite play is, what your favorite book is,
Mhm.
and it will help read and understand and analyze what the other members are and then help connect you.
Yeah.
Hey, Julie, um, Cricket over there, her favorite movie is also The Wizard of Oz. And you're like, oh, look. And you read
Yeah.
her bio and you're like, oh, wow, look at, and you start meeting people and connecting with people in a much deeper way than some of the other social platforms. So I'm really excited about the technology
Mhm.
that's built inside of the platform that really is going to foster deeper connection with the women in the network.
And it sounds like it's a way to, because networking is more, people think when they go into networking, it's about business and getting connections, when it's more about connecting on a
Hmm.
human level. And a lot of people don't realize that. And this, from what it sounds like, it's first connect on a human level, and then we'll take it to the next level. And because again, it's more important to connect on the human level than it is. Because if you don't do that, what's the rest of it? It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, congratulations on the new company. What else have you got going on?
Oh, well, the theater marketing lab is still
Mhm.
bustling and busy. It's interesting. We're in March, so a lot of theaters are getting ready to finalize their 2026, 2025, 2026, or 2026 calendars.
Mhm.
And so I've been talking to a lot of theaters about how do we announce in a new and different way
Mhm.
that can be that can be I love using this word disruptive a little bit. Like how do we interrupt people's worlds
Yeah.
enough so that they can go, okay, wait, what's going on? Announcing that your theater season is literally the one of the most important times in your year, in a theater's year, because there's no other time where you're going to have more eyeballs and more
Mhm.
ears curious, right?
Yeah.
If you're even tertially interested in a theater or in going to the theater, everybody's curious about, well, what shows are you going to do next year? What will I know? What are you going to tell me about something I don't know?
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a crucial time for theaters to understand the power of how to use the internet to do that work for you. And so I've been talking to a lot of theaters about how to roll that out. And I have a program in the lab that helps theaters do that independently. So any of our listeners who are running a theater or know someone that runs a theater, please feel free to go to the lab and check that out. Um, yeah.
Well,
That's
that's
it's big. That's a big project that I've been working on this past several months.
well, I was going to say that disruption. That's just the whole idea. Does isn't not just for theater companies. That's just for you introducing yourself and getting yourself
Sure.
out there. If you're a playwright, if you're a musical writer, it's like anybody who wants to do it. I think it's, it would help pretty much anybody who's trying to
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
word out there.
Yeah, the other thing that I work quite a bit on each week is I work with artists on their social media and their branding.
Mm.
I actually am teaching right now. I teach at Western Michigan University personal marketing for the performing artists. So I've got
Oh,
22 juniors and seniors at Western who are getting ready to fly the coop, right? They're getting ready to go out into the world and become artists and working artists, and I'm helping them, with their branding and with their social media and putting together a personal marketing strategy so that they can go out and get hired. I've taken that exact same philosophy and put it online, and I have artists from all over the world. Somebody from Melbourne recently signed on, and so it's exciting to see somebody. Oh, good, they're going to be working. They're going to be working with my strategies. I think he's actor and producer. So
Nice.
there's the lab is so much more than just for theater or theater organizations. It's also for
Mhm.
artists that need help and support with their marketing as well. So there's so much opportunity there to be independent and help and get help to really get yourself as an artist in the proper place to manage the internet and manage social media. Like we've talked about today, it can be a beast and frustrating, and doing it the right way makes it a lot more tenable and a lot more you aren't pulling your hair out.
For sure, for sure. Is there anything you want to any advice you'd want to give, just in general? Something to impart to our guests. You want to tell us, we're always looking for help with anything.
Well, I maybe I could give a recommendation.
Sure, that'd be great.
I want to tell you about something that I'm really excited about,
Mhm.
and there is a new and I think the listeners will too. I think you all will really dig this if you don't know about it already. Catherine Quinn has recently launched a YouTube channel called And That's Showbiz, and it includes 6 different mini series all about Broadway,
Hmm.
all about the making of theater, about the people that make theater, about how it gets made, different topics and themes, and it is absolutely delightful. If you like to watch videos, if you like to know more about that world, it's really singular in what it's doing. It's, done from a very fresh perspective. It's done with a very different approach. The production values are sky high. And the way they're looking at the business
Hmm.
is New York theater has always felt like it's got this quiet little bubble around it and it's secretive and nobody really understands it. And Catherine's goal is to open that up to the world
Hmm.
because the truth is that professional theater, that New York, the hub of what professional theater is, right? Is not just New York. People love it from all over the world. Social media has proven
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
right? The people that love musicals are not just sitting in New York and in the suburbs, right?
Yeah.
They're around the world. So why
Yeah.
on earth are we not creating content to entertain
Mhm.
and support those people, right?
Yep.
It's sort of in the same wheelhouse you are in, right? You are creating content and resources and places for people that love musical theater
Mhm.
to be,
Yeah.
to exist, to spend time with. And so I want to make sure that your listeners knew about that. If they want to pop on a video one day, that's a great place to go.
Fantastic. Well, now to the important stuff. We need to know about the websites, the socials. How do
Oh,
people
yes.
get to know more about you and learn about the companies?
Oh gosh, yes. So if you go to julienemitz.com, you can find the Theater Marketing Lab. You can find Broad Impact Network. Everything you need is there. And importantly, if you decide that you want to join Broad Impact Network, or you decide that you want to do anything with the lab, if you want to purchase any of the programs there, or any of the consultations or coachings, and you use the code MT Radio, you can get 50% off.
Fantastic. Well,
So that's a special discount offer for you. Just use that code MT Radio and you will be set.
fantastic. I hope everybody takes advantage of it because I think I love talking with you, Julie. What you do is awesome. You've helped so many people. I love when you come on because I
Oh,
know there'll be more people that you're helping and getting the word
oh,
out.
thank you. And I wish there were more of you, only because there we need so many people to help support what we do and keep theater thriving.
Yeah,
My tagline is keep theater moving forward, and you are one of those wonderful
thank
people
you.
that do just that.
That's awesome. Well, again, it's always great to have you on. Thank you. And whenever you want to come on, you want to impart some words of wisdom, let me know. We'll get you
Awesome.
back on and
You're
we'll
the
help
best.
some more people. No
Awesome.
problem. All right. So we were just speaking with Julie Nemitz about all of her companies. We've got the new Broad Impact Network, the Theater Marketing Lab, just lots of stuff. Go to her website, check it out. I know she has helped me just from our conversations. So go check that out and support her. And like she said, there's that promo code, MT Radio. Check that out and use that as well. All right, tune in next week as we speak with another guest or guest about their life, love, and passion. That is musical theater. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Yovanov. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.